So you've got a $125 price target on this one. What's going to get Apple there?
Well, we do, Trish, and we think we've got a couple quarters here for the mega upgrade cycle to play out on the iPhone 6. So we're above consensus for the next 2 quarters. We expect to see big numbers. We think China is really going to kick in as well. You'll see a good mix of the more higher margin plus. So we think the iPhone is going to carry the stock for another 3 to 6 months, and then you're going to have some new things, in particular the watch.
But there's also, some concerns out there that everybody's copying them, right? You look at Xiaomi, for example. Is that not an issue? Because at the end of the day, this is effectively a luxury tech product?
I think for now, yes. Xiaomi obviously is doing extremely well in China. It's becoming, I think, a lifestyle company, even in a broader way than Apple over time. But right now it's Samsung that's getting squeezed sort of between Apple and Xiaomi, and there's still a big gap. And our surveys are finding surprisingly strong demand for Apple in China. So we think that the luxury brand that Apple represents there is going to be maintained for a number of years.
What about a stock buyback? That's something that Carl Icahn has really been pushing for on this company. They've already done plenty. Are they going to do more?
I think they probably will. They'll probably announce it in April with their first quarter earnings announcement. They still have some debt capacity. We expect that they'll buy in about 5% of the stock again over the next 12 to 18 months. So as an investor, you're getting a 2% dividend. They're buying back 5% of the stock. It's a pretty good return, even before the appreciation that we see.
This is a company that is so product dependent. We've got the watch coming out. Is that going to be enough of a product to cause consumers to go out and spend money right now?
We think the watch is going to be successful. There's no doubt the second and third iterations will be better, but the Apple brand is really powerful right now. The question is, when you get into September and December, you're going to have some very tough iPhone comparisons, and the iPhone is still 2/3 of profitability. So I feel very good about the stock through at least mid-year. Then I think we reassess based on how the comparisons look going out into fiscal 16 and the next iPhone cycle.
Interesting. I mean, we are, Steve, pretty close to that 125 target you've got. If we can see today's chart, I think we're around 111 right now for Apple.
And yet the stock is still not expensive. It's selling about 13 times earnings, 11x cash. So you could at some point make an argument what really makes the stock go up, but I don't see what really makes the stock go down either. And it's still selling at a pretty good discount to the market. So I think there's upside.
Is that just because it's so big? I mean, it's a really big company.
It's a really big company, and it's a really focused company, right? I mean, the iPhone is the product. So as much as we like the watch, if the iPhone runs into significant problems over the next 12 or 18 months, it's going to be hard for the stock to work.
You mentioned Samsung earlier. How does Samsung stack up as a competitor to Apple?
Well, look, I think Samsung's product is terrific, and they took a bunch of share from Apple in the last product cycle. Our Evidence Lab surveys suggest that about 20% of Samsung owners are looking to switch to Apple iPhones. So that's a fairly significant loss. Probably more important to Samsung, though, you have Xiaomi and other companies coming up at the lower end. I would guess that Samsung's going to focus more on its components business, where it's, in fact, Apple's a major customer of theirs, and that's still a very powerful business for the company.
And then in terms of the apps that we're seeing coming out right now, where are people focusing their attention that are developing these?
Well, who would have thought of Uber when the iPhone first came out? So I think it's going to be interesting to see how the watch progresses. It's not clear what's the killer app for the watch. It's certainly glances to see calls coming in, but it'll be interesting to see what third parties come up with. That's why I think Cook wanted to get the watch out early to get the developers working on it so that we have lots of applications when it's introduced.
What's your impression of Tim Cook?
I think he's terrific. I think, he had a great year last year. I think he put to rest some of the concerns about can Apple still innovate? Are they going to be shareholder friendly? He's done some things that Steve Jobs probably wouldn't have done.
Like the Beats acquisition?
Possibly like the Beats acquisition and so forth. So I think very highly of Tim and his team.